Welcome to this week's episode of the Evolve to Succeed podcast. My guests this week are Nick and Jess Bain, husband and wife team that run Halo, a creative agency based in Bournemouth. I've known Nick and Jess for a fair few years and have been really interested to see their story and see their growth since they undertook a management buyout in 2022. So during the course of the conversation, we're going to explore what that buyout process was like, how the business has changed, how the dynamics are between them as a husband and wife and management team, and so much more. So I really hope you enjoy this episode of the Evolve to Succeed podcast. And if so, please help us by subscribing on your favourite channel. Enjoy the show. Welcome, Nick. Welcome, Jess, to the Evolve to Succeed podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Really excited to have you on the podcast. Known you both quite some time. Nick in particular helped with some of the branding and the setup around Evolve.
Yeah.
So that's good. And then shortly after, as we'll talk about, you did the management buyout and got to know you, Jess. Both of you have been members of the peer group, so I'm sure we'll touch on that and all of those things. So back in 2022, you did a management buyout, I suppose buyout buy-in, because of Halo.
Yeah.
Did you always want to run your own business? Do you think you're always destined to become business owners? Let's start there.
Yeah. We've always talked about it, haven't we? Back from early on when we first kind of met, and we were obviously in the same industry.
Yeah.
We always wanted to kind of start our own thing at some point. It was just finding the right time to do that.
Yeah, I think we felt like we were two sides of the same coin with very similar levels of standards and beliefs and values, and we felt that we could create something together that was equally brilliantly kind of creatively and technically, but also from a leadership and a client service ambition as well, a marketing strategy position. So
so there was a definite itch that needed scratching, wasn't it?
Yeah, and we talked about it. We even had a business name. I think we even registered a few domains.
Early on.
Yeah, and it always felt like it wasn't a really good time.
Okay, so you got close to doing it, but didn't actually execute.
And I think if we'd had our time again, we probably would have done it earlier.
Yeah.
We both had a bout of redundancies at different points immediately after we had our children.
Okay.
Nick after our first child, and then me after our second. And so it always felt like we needed job security in those moments when actually, if we'd have bet on ourselves, maybe you would have done it earlier.
But that's hindsight.
Exactly.
Hindsight
Wonderful thing.
Isn't it? Definitely. And Nick, perhaps you could tell our listeners about how the management buyout opportunity came along, because you were there, you were working at Halo. Was it a surprise when it came along? How did it come about?
Yeah, kind of a surprise. There's always been talk of for the previous owner exiting the business.
Yeah.
When he got to a certain age. So it was kind of bubbling along in the background.
Okay.
But then the timeline sped up quite a bit. So I just started upping. I think I've been there about a year.
Okay.
And then it kind of...
So you hadn't been there too long, really?
No, I've been there before. So I worked there a few years, 3 years prior to that.
Okay.
And then came back. Obviously, I was maybe redundant and came back. And then that's when the conversation kind of started to happen. And then I was kind of thinking, about 5 years. I think it was like a 5-year kind of timeline initially. So I was like, okay, it's plenty of time till I plan and kind of get used to the idea. And then suddenly the timeline sped up quite a bit.
So it just kind of happened.
So we were like, fine, let's just go with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, you'd initially talked about just becoming a director and buying into the business originally, hadn't you? And running it together, and then it was an exit completely. So
it was kind of meant to be like a gradual kind of takeover buy-in, and then it was all in.
It was all in.
All or nothing.
And can you remember perhaps the time when Nick came back with the conversation that, previous owner's called Andrew, so Andrew discussed with Nick that this could happen. Can you imagine and remember how you were feeling when you heard of the opportunity?
Yeah, so
Jess?
I'm just thinking about the timeline. So you'd gone back to Halo, hadn't you?
Yeah.
And we'd had our first child. And when he joined, it was talk of maybe becoming a director or becoming, a real senior member of the team and helping lead and move the business forward. And then you kind of came home and you were saying, actually, Andrew kind of wasn't in this business as much. You were kind of doing much more of the running of it day to day. And actually he wanted to step away. Personal circumstances had changed, and he'd had an opportunity presented to him that he was actually, this is probably too good exactly true and wanted to grasp that opportunity. So it was, it kind of came as a bit of a shocker and a bit of a surprise. We had our second child in 2020 and I'd been made redundant the December before that. So it was all a bit of a whirlwind.
Yeah.
And it happened, it did happen quite quickly. And I think Nick knew the business really well, had been brought in originally to kind of grow the digital side of that business, and that was doing really well, and had a really great team in there as well, had some lovely clients, a really nice mix, a nice established business. It kind of felt like actually something that we could jump in and kind of, improve where we felt like there was real opportunity, and then grow as well. So really lovely foundation to start with.
Yeah, just a good base, good foundation, which is one of the advantages of doing a buyout, isn't it? In some way, shape or form. You're not starting with no clients from scratch. Has some disadvantages, as I'm sure we'll discuss those during the course of the conversation. But for our listeners, again, who are maybe thinking about what does a management buyout entail, could you perhaps just summarise that process that you went through? I mean, how formal was it? Was it quite informal? Was it very legal based? What are the negotiations like? Because you're in a business working for somebody, trying to buy a business. You're thinking about how do you come in? How do you make your mark?
Yeah.
I mean, can you remember that time and those experiences?
Yeah. Okay, it's a bit of a blur when you look back and think, oh, what happened? Like, lots happening. So you're trying to work in the business and trying to obviously do that as well as raising the kids. But it was quite informal at times, and then dipped into more formal, obviously, when you start to talk to solicitors and start to go there. And I think
legal,
and I think also he was doing it because we've never done that before, obviously. So I think like it took a while to get going, to kind of really get to grips with actually what we were doing and like the financial side of it, because obviously we wanted to be sure that what we were doing was right, and what we were paying for the business, and the buyout plan and strategy worked for us. So we did spend a lot of time up front kind of going, like, is this right? Can we afford it? Like, what's the long-term plan? So I think, we spent a lot of time on that. It's probably took a bit longer than we would have liked at the time, maybe. I don't know.
But actually, listening to other people, it was relatively quick from other buyouts that we've heard about. And I think, it was a founder-run business with a sole, it was a husband and wife team, but, they were kind of sole owners of the business, no other directors. So it was understanding kind of, what all the P&L looks like, actually digging beneath the surface of that around what some of that stuff looks like. And actually, we'd not had experience of that before, so we were learning what that all meant, as well as trying to decide whether or not the business was viable and it was a secure thing and an asset to bulk, all eggs in one basket. We were having to think about how we might self-fund that ourselves. And then equally, then what was the buyout and what does that look like? Because again, we just not had any experience, not even really spoken to other.
Right, in your industry, your industry inside and out, don't you? But actually, running a business, buying a business,
completely different,
completely new when you first knew it.
And we did talk to a few people externally about the process and if there was some external help that we could have. But ultimately, we felt like actually that felt like it started to become too informal, and with the relationship with like Andrew, actually, I felt like that probably wouldn't have worked for us. So actually we wanted to keep it a bit more kind of informal and a bit more kind of personable, rather than going down to that kind of too extreme business approach, which probably might have kind of ended up like derailing the deal at some point, I think.
But a couple of things, we obviously we had an accountant look over all of the paperwork and to discuss the value of the buyout and what we were looking to put down, and then equally then how long that buyout lasts for, because actually you need to maintain a really good relationship with the previous owner. And
because it was a vendor supported deal.
It was.
The first three said, put some money down, owe me the rest.
Pay
some profit. And cash and pay it. We'll come to that, I'm sure.
And actually I think it was quite interesting because at the time when we bought the business, we had one client that was really big, about 80% So risk-wise,
quite high risk.
Deal. And actually, I think the naivety of us never having done that before probably helped us. And also Nick being in the business, I actually don't think that somebody outside would have felt as confident in that.
And that's why a lot of management buyouts happen, really, because there's a good business there, isn't there? There's a good team, there's a good client base, there's a good. But actually, when it's been quite entrepreneurially run, it's not an estate where somebody within the trade would just come in and buy it and bolt it onto their business.
No.
Sometimes the only option with those kind of businesses, particularly in the creative sector, is from somebody from within to acquire, which is naturally
And
what happened with you guys.
Yeah, and this is the third time it's been. So this is the third management buyout. So it actually started with, sadly, a client that's no longer here, but Michael Stewart Design, and then Andrew worked for him, bought it from him. They were the original founders of Organics, the bagel feet brand, who then were clients of Andrew's at Halo, and then us as well. So there's a really nice story of all the husband and wife teams kind of taking it on, and all the different businesses that they've supported. We still work a little bit with Lizzie Van, and had done till Michael Stewart passed away, sadly, the year before last. So really nice relationships throughout.
History of this happening within the business. And can you, when you look back now, what are the things you think you did well through that MBO process? Because these are the sort of hints and tips. And what are the things that you would have done differently now in hindsight? It's quite a big question.
I think one of the things that we felt we did well was the communication with the team. So we took them on the journey of talking about what that meant for them, but also what our intention was. Because that's a lot of those people have been in that business a really long time, and that's their job security. And the previous owner just stepping away, and that's all they've ever known. It's quite scary. So we wanted to make sure that people understood that we weren't coming in, we weren't going to just change everything. Actually, we were coming into the business to keep the wheels in motion, and actually see how the business ran.
So strong comms with the team, shared a plan, I assume.
And I think the plan was to listen, actually to understand what Halo does really well. Like, that was my intention coming in.
You're new, I suppose. You don't really know the culture. You know what the culture of the culture.
Yeah, I think you came in kind of at end of the previous year, just about 4 or 5 months before we completed on the Sanchez. But I think we started to transition that before, as we were going through the buyout. So we started doing those kind of meetings with the team, on like the performance meetings, how the business is going, like bringing everybody together, and that culture kind of thing started to happen. I think we started to put in place before we kind of.
There's a bit of trust and understanding in your leadership style, because Andrew was a bit more remote at that point. Still owner, but remote. Okay.
Yeah, one of the things we did was we did a survey. So I just, Nick was obviously leading the business, and I had all of that insight from you. But actually, how does everybody feel within the business? Actually, what does Halo do really well? What do they love doing? But actually, where could they see some opportunity? Where would actually what are their thoughts around how we could grow, how we could develop, or what the opportunities are? Yeah, because actually every founder sees things differently. So actually understanding that from the people within the business, because we needed them for the business to be a success. And as a marketing agency, your people are your business. So ensuring that you understand, what lights them up and what the frustrations are early on allows you to prioritize some of those things to make people feel listened, heard, and also part of that story.
Brilliant. So on the other side, then, that's what you did well. And brilliant. What would you have done differently in the months leading up to, or the months immediately after? There must be one thing that if you look back on and you go, actually, we could have been better there, or we could have done that differently.
I think some of the solicitor parts of it, I think dealing with the actual contracts, I think looking back now, I'd actually handle that a bit differently.
In what way?
I obviously learn a lot more. So if you go back now, you go, actually, I could have answered that question earlier and had that conversation with like Andrew earlier to resolve some of those kind of negotiation bits a bit.
Get some clarity
on that before, or maybe not letting some of the accountants and solicitors kind of almost like not dictate, but actually inform some of your decisions. And actually, it might have been actually probably too hard, or too dry or too formal, and actually had more of a kind of informal conversations. Might have just helped. Not that the process was like that kind of difficult or strained, but actually there were times where, as any negotiation, where you can kind of clash or butt heads a little bit. So
it's inevitable, because you want different things.
Exactly.
Even though you're going down this path to achieve the same thing, how you're doing it and the outcome you want,
got different views,
slightly different.
So I think just some of that I think I would have maybe just handled a little bit
Mm.
differently, more sensitively, rather than maybe being a bit bullish in there in some of the aspects. I don't know.
Yeah. And can you remember what that first day felt like? You'd been leading the business, you'd done a bit of surveys, but day you went in and told the team, can you, like that
Yeah.
personal feeling, how did you feel as individuals?
Really excited.
Yeah.
Really excited for the future. I think we had talked about it for a really long time. And it was bizarre, like owning and feeling like you run your own business. But equally, there was the buyout. So there was excitement, but there was also kind of like a real sense of pressure.
Commitment.
Yeah, and you're
yeah.
committed now. You could.
And it was like,
you got to kill defense now.
and also we self-funded it. We told the mortgage people that we were doing some renovations at home, but we actually bought a business, which I'm not sure is the right thing to do. But
Many do that.
exactly, and it was all eggs one basket. This has to be a success. At the time, Nora was 18 months, I think. My youngest daughter was 18 months old, and then Holly was 3.
Yeah.
So it was
Quite a challenging
Yeah.
time in any way in life, isn't it?
But
The kids of that age.
but very much a case of, when is this opportunity going to present itself again? And you know what? No, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I think, you
So
got to go for it.
I'd probably lead on from that question is, if you had your time again, we talked about there's always an itch. Would you have done the buyout, or would you start it afresh? What are the pros and cons do you think of that process? Nick, what do you think?
I don't know. We have talked about this before, and I don't know. Sometimes you swing with, maybe we could have started ourselves and built it up from the ground, and then not have to resolve some like legacy kind of issues or whatever happens to be in terms of like processes or clients or whatever that is, and actually build it from where you want it to be from the start. But that is a lot of work and a lot of commitment, especially when you've got young children. So
maybe you'd never have done it.
But
it's true, isn't it? Maybe.
No,
because there's always
there's always something in your head of going, but that's going to be difficult, or that's going to be hard, or something that's a barrier that stops you from kind of taking that step, I think.
How do you feel about it, Jess?
Yeah, I just think there's a huge plus for taking on a business, because you can see the things that are maybe going well and the things that you can resolve and fix and where you can add value. That for me felt really, really exciting. And I think, we had a business that was running, that had some really great clients where there was, really nice opportunities. And it was working at a level that I felt really comfortable with, having built up in my career, and being a senior leader within agencies and managing big, £1 million accounts, to then go back to maybe working on smaller accounts.
Start with small.
I'm not sure whether that's maybe a little bit of ego, but that's very different. Like working on a strategic marketing budget for the likes of B&Q or Activision, and then working on maybe a small independent family-run funeral director, say here in Poole. The strategies are very different, and I think that for me was the biggest opportunity with Halo, was seeing where it could go.
I had established
and we could
clients.
we could grow it. Also, I love leading people. I love working with the team, and I love nurturing people, seeing their careers grow. And for me, that was an amazing plus. I kind of, I think.
So again, for the perspective of, you've done some great things with the business, and we're going to talk about that, and we'll talk about your leadership styles and culture and all of those things during the course of the conversation. But to put in perspective for our listeners again, what was the size of the business, sort of headcount size? What was the nature of the business when you took it on compared to what it's like today, 4 years later?
12, 13 when we took it over. So and we're 20 now.
Yeah.
So kind of grown it, but also kind of changed the kind of offering of what we do. So obviously when we took it over, it was quite very like delivery based, a lot of the work we were doing. So like creative design, the production, the rollout of that type of marketing work. Whereas actually we've kind of transitioned to more like strategic led. So a lot more kind of senior people in the business now that kind of lead the accounts. So actually, there's quite a difference between...
Quite a pivot, really,
yeah,
in terms of nature.
But it's taking a little while. It's taken the last kind of few years to kind of get there. Obviously, slowly transitioning, obviously managing the larger client that we had, and then bringing in new clients that are more strategic based, and kind of getting that balance right, really.
Yeah, definitely. And we brought more services in-house. We wanted to be that tree marketing partner.
Full service agency.
Yeah. And everyone says to us, you should niche, you should, really be specific and hone in on either a sector or a specific level of service. I said, but the thing that, being a marketing person, having studied that in my career, holistically looking at a business, where they're going, what they're looking to achieve. See, Warren, you'll know this, you support so many businesses, but you can't look at that in isolation. You have to look at every single part of their ecosystem. And so for me, the value that we bring is, understanding where that business is now, where they want to get to, how quickly they want to get there, and the right things that they can put in place to support that. If you go to a, digital specialist, they're going to sell you something just purely digital. If you go to a more traditional marketing agency, they'll sell you something traditional. We pride ourselves on being that, having real integrity and having a lot of clarity with what we talk
and working
about.
out what strategy fits them and their industry and what they do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we felt like we couldn't do that without having all of those skill sets in-house. So we did have to hire a few people in and stop kind of using freelance support. And we brought copywriting in, we brought all of our digital marketing in-house as well. We have trusted partners for things like videography, photography, just because that makes sense for the specialist services. But
Yeah. And I suppose I'm going to throw, is the debt paid off to Andrew? Done.
Yeah. We managed to pay off early.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a real achievement.
That's a
I remember
celebration day,
that
surely,
day.
isn't it?
Yeah, I remember that day really well because, when you're doing an MBO, it doesn't really feel like it's yours until it is yours, until all that paperwork has been done. When, there were certain things that were in place. We couldn't take a certain amount of money, or we couldn't do certain things. There had to be like prior agreement on certain things, which,
Didn't have freedom, which kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
I know.
The previous owners betting on you to get their proceeds. They want some control, don't they? That would be normal in a business.
Because
absolutely.
exactly.
I think fair enough.
But you haven't got freedom, have you?
No, and I think we were really, really keen on doing that as early as possible to give Andrew his freedom as well.
Yes.
To feel like he still had that tie. So it felt really, really good. And we took the team on that journey as well. We said, actually, we are, we have done a buyout. Yeah.
It's hours.
Yeah.
Can you remember what that day felt like, Nick?
I think I was driving up to a client meeting actually, and I think Andrew called me on the way up and to say, thanks for seeing that
Final payment
come in. So that was quite a nice feeling just to go, we've kind of done that. We're there, we already own it, and we have that kind of that freedom to actually kind of drive it forward and a bit more. Not that we were restricted in kind of driving the business forward, but it just kind of releases you a little bit and makes you feel a bit freer.
Freedom.
And financially, just being able to actually what that extra kind of income we can reinvest that into the business.
Hire people.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think I remember coming into the peer group actually and telling the whole group, and one member of the peer group who's been on the journey, and I joined the peer group when we started the MBO process, which was an amazing experience to have business leaders around me, just giving me that kind of wisdom and guidance of having been there, done that. But I remember telling Rosie in particular, and she just was clapping massively, and David was in the room as well. And it was just a really lovely feeling to have those people around you that understand the journey that you've been on, and actually some of the tough bits in that. Where that bigger client we were trying to scale it back, but build other clients, and bring other partnerships in to de-risk it. But that was really challenging because that was our level basing for all of our financials.
It generates
exactly. So you bring that down.
Yeah, you can't just drop that.
But felt really, really good.
The smiles on your face now can show how proud, as you should be, of that accomplishment.
I think we had some champagne, didn't we?
We did. We did. Was that champagne from our wedding anniversary? Yeah.
That's a bottle saved, of course.
It was. We save our champagne for moments like that.
At Evolve, we exist to help business owners and leaders like you start, grow, and exit with purpose. Whether it's coaching, peer groups, strategic advice, leadership and development, or just needing some financial clarity, we're here to support every step of your business journey. If you're ready to evolve, we'd love to help you take that very next step. Brilliant. Fantastic. And I mean, you referred to it, so you've been a member of the peer group. You've said the benefits. Nick, you have also been a member of the Evolve peer group.
Yeah.
What's it given to you? We've heard what it's given to Jess.
Yeah, I think it's just that kind of shared experiences from like listening to other people that have been in similar situations, so you kind of know like how to deal with something or how to handle it, and actually it's not necessarily unique to you, and actually there's
confidence.
Confidence. Yeah, and sometimes it's just like, oh, well, the decision I made is the right decision, and you hear that feedback and you go, yeah, that's the right thing you're doing. That just helps with your confidence to go, actually, I do know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
And sometimes it's just that ability to share and be honest. The challenges and the openness.
Yeah, like I said, like if you're running a business, sometimes it can be a bit lonely. There's not some of that stuff you can't share with other people within the business.
Yeah,
and it's quite nice to have to share that with other people in that same situation to kind of be part of something.
Yeah, I definitely think that you don't know what good looks like.
Yeah,
is a really strange thing, apart from your goals and ambitions and setting those out and your objectives for the business. But I remember being in the peer group and talking about X, Y, and Z. It could have been a people's thing or hiring. They were like, "This is amazing," and I think it's that having sometimes that mirror, that bit of just positive reinforcement that you don't get when you're managed by people. You kind of get told pat on the back and well done. No, because the to-do list is huge and there's always a challenge. There's always something that you need to solve. So having people kind of say, that's really good, like, well done, like, amazing, like, that's not an easy thing to achieve, is just refreshing.
Yeah.
And kind of you leave with a bit of a spring in your step, or a little bit lighter.
Yeah, a little bit lighter sometimes, or unburdened.
Oh yeah, there's been many a peer group where I've cried. I think there was a point where I cried most times, and then when I didn't cry, it was a moment. But that's the safe space. That's the safety of the space, and I think that's hard to find.
Yeah.
And yeah, definitely really valuable.
Brilliant. Thank you. Very kind words.
That's right.
So how have the two of you changed as individuals and leaders in this last 4 walls? What were you like at the time and what are you like now? Are you softer, harder? Are you more direct? Have you got a different perspective? What's changed about the two of you in that 4 years?
God.
A lot. I think we've changed a lot, both of us. I think I've learned the hard way not to take things personally. I think I found that really difficult. I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
I am very empathetic as a leader, and that at points was quite damaging to me personally.
You're taking everything in and on, aren't you?
Yeah, and actually there was a situation this year where we had a people challenge, and actually I was able to kind of sit back and not let it affect me personally and say, I've done everything I possibly could have done. And that's been really, really nice, is to grow in that way. I never thought I'd see that as a strength, but
it is to have perspective and to have the confidence I've done all I can and this is the outcomes then.
Yeah, to become, I think to be
comfortable
and confident in your ability to navigate some of those things. And that comes through experience, for sure.
And you, Nick?
Oh, yeah, I guess for me, when I took over the business, I was still very much in the business. So kind of quite client-facing, running projects. And that was it took a while to kind of try and step out of that.
Place, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of what you're good at.
Yeah, exactly. It's not easy just to fall back into that whenever there's a challenge or something different. It's like, I just need to sort out that thing first.
I'm just going to do it, client.
Yeah. And then I'll come back.
I still do it.
Come back. And it's so I think for me it's just being able to like delegate, actually, and kind of just let the people get on with the work. I'm still learning. I suppose sometimes I have to get involved.
Safe space.
Yeah. But I think that's kind of the biggest thing for me, is that delegation piece and hiring the right people to trust to kind of deliver the standard and the quality of work that we want as an agency as well. And the same with the personal thing, like you do take it quite personally when you, because it's your business. You're invested in it. You want trying to grow it. You got ambitions and goals, and you need everybody in the team to kind of almost like get behind you and help do that. And but you also need to remember that they have their own lives and they have their own
different priorities.
And actually, it's not personal. It's just people, just looking after themselves, and that, I think that kind of makes you a bit kind of happier. I think really come to that realization.
Yeah, and I think having obviously it's being a husband and wife team, it's hard to switch off at home and not talk about the business. But actually, because we have a lovely office full of people, we do try and tend to leave work at the office.
Sure.
And home is at home. Obviously, there are moments where that doesn't happen, but finding time within the work day for us to have the conversations that we need has been really vital to us being able to do that and to be present at home and to be the parents to our children and not to be Jess and Nick Halo.
Okay. But I suppose that must have been a learning curve as well.
Yeah,
it's so easy if you're busy. You can I'll park that in my head. I'll talk to Jess or talk to Nick. When I get home, we'll sort it. But let's just get on and do what.
Yeah, I think initially, like I think we did probably speak a lot at home in the evenings and weekends about it, even whether it was just driving in the car or having dinner. Like we would talk about whatever the challenge was of the day, trying to come up with a solution and do it. But I think now we're better at going, actually, you know what, we'll talk about that tomorrow. That's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah.
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 But it's a journey, I suppose, isn't it? I suppose as the business settles into the shape and form, it possibly becomes a bit easier to do that, doesn't it? But in those early days where you are carrying the debt, you are trying to shape the business, you're trying to lose dominance and big client, everything. It must have been just all consuming. But as you've got on 4 years and you've settled the business, you've got it pivoted to where you want it to be, and it's a bit more comfortable and the debt's paid off. I suppose it's easier to have a switch and switch off, isn't it?
Yeah, because we always had lots of kind of ideas for the business when we first took over, and then we saw lots of areas for improvement, like processes, systems, all that kind of stuff, really, and team structure. So you're trying to do all of that at once. You try, actually, I want to do this. You want to do it all. Get it done as quickly as possible. But actually,
you're basically the excited puppy when you're with the business for the very first time. But I think that energy is necessary. I think had we the naivety and the energy to do it.
I think a lot of new business owners will talk about naivety and energy, because it's you got to have focus, you got to have passion, you got to have belief, haven't you? And you just got to go do it.
I remember one of the best moments was when we got our first client completely independently as well, who we still work with now, a global contact lens manufacturer, previous contact that I'd worked with before, and he came to us and said, we'd love to work with you. And now we work with a huge team of people that he now runs. And winning that first client, that first partner that was outside of the business before, so
was one of those.
But then equally seeing clients that we've worked with for years blossom and grow, has been lovely.
Another hints and tips, somebody listening to the podcast that's thinking, well, perhaps they're going to bring their spouse into the business, work alongside them, or perhaps they're thinking of starting a business together as husband and wife or as a couple. You've talked about try and shut off, don't take it home, but any other hints and tips along the way?
The one plus to it is the trust.
Like
the fact that you have that one person that you trust with everything, that has, that is undeniably probably the biggest strength of running the business with Nick. And having the business together. I think communication is key, and having time to talk about the business in the business.
And clearly defined roles, like who's responsible for what, so you don't tread on each other's toes, or that's taken care of over there, and I'm dealing with this.
So alongside trust, making sure the roles and responsibilities are right. And again, I suppose that's in any business partnership, isn't it?
And that took us a little while to kind of get right, because we came into the business full speed, like taking over existing clients. Actually, we're all doing like similar bits, but as we've kind of grown along the last couple of years, we've kind of really carved out our roles a bit more, which I think has made things a lot easier.
And you were in the business acting MD at the time, doing everything. So it I was coming in like trying to prise things out of Nick's hands, and there were certain things that he was really happy because actually Jess is better at that than me, and we are very different. And Nick's superpowers are certainly not mine. And actually I'm quite happy to move out there, but there are moments where he has to say, Jess, stop it, like get out of the way, and I'm like, Nick, I've got that.
Great man, Nick.
Yes, he's married to me.
I'm used to it.
But but also being able to do that in a jokey way that isn't like people don't get offended, and we've got to let stuff go.
Yeah.
So being able to do that, and that's all. That's
Trying
all
to be
of it.
honest, yeah.
I think there is that thing about trying to sort out Michaela was very intrinsical and inspire and all of that, but we did need to work out what was our work dynamic and what's the home dynamic.
Yeah.
And once that clicked, that was perfect.
Yeah.
Because you kind of understood.
Yeah.
You wouldn't, but there is a different dynamic, but that roles and responsibilities and trusting each other and treading on each other's toes.
But that's changed. Our roles have changed
Okay.
since I kind of came in, and then
So how have they changed? 'Cause that's quite an interesting perspective.
So I would say we manage maybe the same teams that we always have.
Yeah.
But I've got more of a focus on kind of people, culture.
Yeah.
And then like the new business and the client direction, and now
mine's more kind of like
operations.
operational, digital, like delivery, managing like that kind of team and innovation. So actually we've got internal processes. So there's a lot more clearer divide on who's doing what and where.
Yeah, so we told the team, didn't we? Really in May. I think everyone knew what we did, but we kind of wanted to redefine it. So yeah, we
did our quarterly, and kind of put
of
our kind of 3-year kind of plan with kind of what me and Jess are looking after, the roles and responsibility for us. It's just sort of like people had that clarity on like who to come to for what kind of aspects of the business.
Not coming, not kind of, knowing that might get a different answer from me to Nick, and actually us being confident to say, no, you need to go and have a chat with Nick about that, because that maybe I'm a little bit more, I'll say yes to that, but actually, no, that's Nick's domain. You need to go and speak to him.
Yeah.
Stick to your lane.
Yes, which is sometimes quite tricky because we're both quite approachable people. We like to be there for the team, but ultimately, sometimes you've got to say, no, that's actually go away.
Actually, it's not the right time.
It's not going kids. And I think that's the thing as well. We are a husband and wife team. We don't hide that from anyone.
No.
So the team know that as well.
They can sort of know which ones.
Absolutely.
Kids probably do as well.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And one of the things you haven't talked about yet, but you must be really proud of, is 2 years after taking over Halo, so in 2024, you made the Sunday Times Best Places to Work list. How did that, I'm going to say how did it come about, but, what had you changed about the culture to make that happen, or had you just amplified what was there? It's a huge achievement.
Yeah.
How did it come about?
Well, obviously, one of our big kind of objectives was we wanted to create a place to work that we would like to work at. So when we were we're starting our careers and working through other businesses, we wanted to like actually take the best of where we'd work and go, actually, how do we make a place that kind of encompasses all of that? And actually people enjoy coming to work, because people enjoy coming to work, you'll get better output, better work, better creative, etc. So it's like, how do we create that? And then it's just really like listening to the team. So like Jess said, when we first started, we did a survey for the team, kind of got their feedback, and we just kind of started doing that on a regular basis.
Yeah, so we do our feedback quarterly. So it's making sure that you understand what the challenges are and the frustrations are. They they need to feel psychologically safe to be open and honest with the leadership and know that they're going to change it. I think a lot of people don't speak up because actually what's the point? We reviewed lots of the frustrations, processes, things like that were making people's jobs difficult, investing in some of those things, upgrading some kit, and reviewing what our benefits were. But I think it's being able to put your hand up and say, I've made a mistake, and someone's not going to pull you over hot coals for that. What have you learned from that experience? What are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? No problem. Let's move on. I'm very much a future focused person. I'm kind of always looking kind of 10 steps ahead. But like Nick said, it's creating a place that people want to come to work.
I love I was going to reaffirm that's a great approach, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where would I want to work? What's the best things I've experienced? How can we make that happen in our business?
Yeah, exactly.
And then that psychological safety, making people feel safe, that they can feel like they can contribute and they've got a voice and want to be heard. So.
Yeah. But equally feeling like they've got a path and they can be rewarded for their contribution. we celebrate very small wins, but we celebrate big wins. We take on the whole person. It's not about their contribution to work. It's about, if they moved house, if they had a baby, if they, achieved something amazing, raised loads of money for charity. We take on all of that and get behind the whole person, not just their contribution to work. And everyone, brings their whole.
Buys into that.
Yeah. We, off the back of a few of the surveys, I thought, you know what? The Sunday Times, the way that you enter is by having a full survey to the team. So it's warts and all. It's completely anonymous.
We don't know what they said.
There's nowhere to hide. And to be honest, it was a bit of a punt.
Yeah.
It was a risky few £100s, I think, that we paid. And it was probably like, what are you spending money on now? But it was something that, was definitely an ambition of mine. I think when you have a business that is centered around people and the contribution they make and the partners that we work with, the idea is actually that businesses would want to work with a business like that as well. So we can build partnerships with companies that have similar ethos to us. And I was at a meeting just this morning, and we immediately started talking about culture, started talking about growth, but not at the expense of the people. That's something that's sustainable, that feels good, and that's then able to be passed down to generations beneath them. And that was a huge law firm. So those businesses are out there.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think it helps you understand maybe who you do work well with and who you don't as well.
Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. And I suppose I need to touch on it as a topic that's in our last peer group. It popped up, didn't it? It's this kind of AI, creative industry, tech, needing to pivot, your world being upside down, not just yours, but the whole creative sector. What do you really think about it? What?
That's a question.
Yeah, what do you really think about it? Maybe Nick, from your perspective, because you're the more tech orientated. You talked about the innovation piece.
Yeah.
Where do you see it going?
I go up peaks and troughs.
Don't we all?
So sometimes I can really use it to do X and Y. So we're using it a lot to improve efficiencies in the business. Automate some of the mundane tasks, or some of the stuff that people don't like doing. Anything that is technical, or reviewing data, for example. So just taking some of that kind of hard work, then manual work out of some of those laborious tasks. But from a creative point of view, I think we're quite a long way off from it really impacting us specifically as a business. We pride ourselves on having that kind of human element to it, that the years of experience. Part of having the experienced team, the senior team, is that actually you can speak to a client in the room, you can have that people in the room, you can get those answers, you can brainstorm those ideas in the room without having to talk to ChatGPT or Gemini to kind of pull something out that's already been done before, or AI slop, as a lot of a lot of the term is now. So I think we're kind of we're consciously looking at it all the time, but using it in the right way, and from a business, trying to understand what does the business need, not just using it for the sake of using it, actually using it that's going to add some value to our clients. Ultimately, what we'll do is let's say take some of the mundane tasks away, so then we can focus more creative time on the client. So
be more human.
Be more human. Actually, the clients get more value out of that, because actually we don't, spend less time on some account management or less time on some project management, but actually we spend more time on the creative, more time on the development. Actually, that adds more value to their business.
Great perspective.
Yeah.
I think one of the key things, though, is that AI has given more people autonomy over their creativity. So as a smaller business, you can create so much more content really, really quickly, but that content is very samey. If you see kind of AI posters about, they all, look the same. And I know that's the surface of it, but ultimately what that means is there's more. There's more content, there's more creative, there's more
noise, isn't it?
Everywhere. So how do you then cut through that, your marketing messaging, your creative? How do you stand out in a world where there is so much more? We talked about social media being that, huge rise in that we're constantly connected, consuming multiple bits of content every single day. I think it was how many advertising messages do we see a day? And it's, thousands a day. With AI, I think it's going to increase even more than that. I think it's about how do you cut through?
Yeah, how do you get the quality? How do you cut through? How do you get the connection?
Yeah.
And AI is built on.
Sorry.
I was just going to say AI is built on everything that's ever been done before. So what it doesn't have is the originality, and that has to come from people. So I think there is going to be a creative challenge, absolutely, and we need to be at the forefront of that. We need to be testing, we need to be learning, we need to be evolving. But actually, yeah, we do feel like there is a real plus to working with in partnership with people, because you get that originality.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the integrity piece as well. I think it's like actually and standing firm to what we want to kind of do from our kind of objectives and goals for us personally, and going, actually, what fun is a world when you're sat at a computer just typing in prompts to AI. And actually the reason we got into the industry, because we loved doing design, we loved the creative side of it, and actually that's what you want, is that passion from people, is when you're going to get the best work. So I think from our point of view, that's what we're trying to stick to.
We also work with quite a lot of charities, so there's an ethical side to this as well. We work with Heart of England Forest, who are looking at conservation. We work with UK for UNHCR, which is the refuge agency. So it's actually, what impact is AI going to have on the world and the future for children? And I think whilst we're talking about building a business for people, for our team, it's also for the next generation. I think there is a challenge with AI and the junior roles and supporting people coming into the industry. I think that's a real challenge. Making sure they've got great skills. We talked to the uni and the Arts Institute as well, just to ensure that we're supporting that next generation.
Brilliant, fantastic. And the next chapter for Halo?
World domination.
World domination. You got the cat and you're stroking the cat, are you?
We have a cat.
Where do you both see, the next 5 years for Halo?
Yeah, we obviously we do have a kind of a plan, haven't we? We have got a kind of loose
Not kind of plan. We have a plan.
Yeah. It's kind of obviously driving that more strategic piece. So a part of the last couple of years of building the team around more senior, experienced strategic teams. So actually, like offering that to our clients and being able to kind of grow that side of the business. With some of the production, as AI does get better at like some of the production stuff. Actually, how do we add that human element to it? How do we add that creativity into it, and having a team of that experience and being able to do that? So growing that and being more of a strategic leader.
Brilliant.
We want to grow the team. Nick and I are obviously still very involved day to day. We're a team of 20. We'd love to get to the point where we were a little bit bigger.
It's a bit more independent.
It's really independent, that the business is, valuable without us in it. That, we've got a really strong team at the moment, but adding a few more into that, we're already seeing certain elements of our workload grow, but we will grow sustainably. For us, it's not about growth at all costs. One of our behaviours is people first. So making sure that, when we're hiring, take our time, hiring the right people and bringing them in.
Slow, exit fast if you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very big believer in that. So growth, but sustainably.
Brilliant.
And working with more of the same partners that, value what we do and value how we work, and being able to help them grow.
I love one of the themes that's come through this is that you do communicate, you do share, you do create a plan, and you're very focused on creating a plan when you bought it, and again now for the next period, and the way in which you will clearly communicate that to the team, so you get the buy-in from the team and you take them on the journey. I think if more business owners did that, we could create more success, more growth, because I think you do need to do that to create growth. Serendipity takes you so far, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But having a plan and giving it focus is really, really important.
Yeah. It's not always easy. Like you have to stay focused on it, and it's quite easy. It is easy to get distracted sometimes with shiny stuff in the corner. That'd be quite cool. But sometimes, from me personally, I like a challenge and I like something new maybe we haven't done before. But sometimes that's not necessarily the right for the business or the team. And I know I'd love to be able to do that. Sometimes but we've still got to deliver it. We've still got to do a good job, and still got to deliver for our existing clients. So you have to stay focused on that and not to get distracted.
And that's something we've definitely got better at as we've gone through. Is we're actually working on evolving our proposition and communicating that. So watch this space. But we feel like in the past 4 years we have really grown. Halo has grown, and actually, what does that now? What does that now mean for the people that we work with and the people that we work for? So, yes, the plan is end of the year. But I think we'll see. Okay. It's a busy time.
Listeners, look out for it. Got time for a bit of a quick fire fun round?
Go on then.
Go on then. So, out of the two of you, who's the early bird? Who's the night owl?
I'm the early bird for sure.
I'm neither early, but I'm not.
Neither.
It's the middle of the day. A couple of hours in the middle of the day.
That's your bet.
Yeah.
That's Nick's prime time.
Yeah.
I can probably be early bird or night owl, either way. Depends, yeah. But mainly early bird.
3 words to describe each other in business.
Oh,
God.
do you want to go first?
No.
I think that's an instruction, Nick, isn't it?
If you want to. That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
I would say that Nick is very detail orientated, for sure.
It's not one word.
It's not as 2 words, but they're joined together by a hyphen, so it counts as
Detailed.
one. Yeah, very detailed. I would say, high standards. And kind of quietly confident. I know they're 2 words, but
Okay, so you've had 6 words.
sorry, Warren. Not good with rules.
No, obviously not. Okay, that's a great way to describe Nick. Perfect. Nick?
No, I'd say no.
No, it's yours.
No.
I'm afraid.
I won't look at you.
But,
For the question.
determined, I think. I guess, visionary, I think. The third one. Oh God. What's the third one?
Look away.
Like integrity.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There you are, you see. They get easier now.
Do they? This is not quick. It's terrible.
Best piece of advice you've both ever received?
Oh, mine, and I quote a chap called Rich Strachan on this, was one of my managers, and it was when I first started managing a team. And he was like, it's no longer about you looking good anymore, Jess. It's about your team. And I think for anyone leading people, actually your team doing well is actually the true success of leadership.
Brilliant. I like that. Nick, follow that.
Oh.
Sorry.
So what advice have I been given?
Best piece of
Yeah,
advice.
Best piece of advice I've been given. That's a hard one. I don't know if it's like a specific thing that sticks out
Okay.
to one particular thing, but I think it's just a collection of just advice from various people. And for me, it's like just like know your business, know your numbers, like, and really understand that part, because that can be the difference between success and failure. Like you can have, all the talent in the world, but actually if the numbers don't work, then it might not last very long.
That's great piece of advice. And we touched on it earlier, didn't we? As you come into a business and you start a business or you buy a business, you're good at what you do. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
That's why you've got to that place. But you've actually got to learn about the finance, the business model, how the numbers work to make it succeed.
Yeah, it's really important, because you'll go through peaks and troughs, and you need to make sure that the business is sustainable and get through those periods when it is tough.
To pay everyone's mortgages.
Yeah, and let everybody pay their mortgages. Yes, that's a huge responsibility. But the creative sector in particular is scattered, wasn't it, with really, really great creatives who've bailed at business because they don't get that balance. So I can see that. That's me not making it quick fire now. So last one then. What keeps you awake at night? What's the one thing that still nags you? Or is there nothing?
For me, I think the biggest thing is that I'm looking so far ahead that there's always so much to be done. So I'm always just like, I find it's hard to switch off from that. And whether that's my determination or ambition or just kind of like, excitement for it, passion. That's the thing that keeps me up, is often that. So writing things down and just being able to then switch off, because I know I'm not going to lose it, either that idea or that resolution that I've thought of. To that for me is I've got quite an overactive mind.
Okay,
so
that's what keeps you awake.
Yeah.
Nick?
I guess it's probably just some of my like OCD characteristics of, from like how things are working, like improvements. Like if I can see something that's not working or the improvement, it's like how can I make that better? My instinct is like I need to solve that problem or I need to fix that issue. So I'm constantly. So it's hard to like switch off and go, yeah, doesn't matter. I can. Yeah, that's a next week problem or tomorrow problem.
But those responses just then show and demonstrate why you're such a great team. Because it's from the same perspective, isn't it? And making things better, but from a different angle. And clearly that's driven your success. So I normally end the podcast with the question of, I've got one business owner there talking about what's their definition of personal success. But as a couple, now what is personal success for Halo, for you, for the family? What does it really mean?
I think we do have to talk about this, and we want to be able to, and part of the reason we kind of wanted to do the business with ourselves was to give that time back and that flexibility to spend time with the children. So taking time off in the summer, like ideally we'd like be able to take like the summer off with the kids and they go traveling or spend time with them, and that's kind of, that would be successful, as well as financially stable and secure for the future. It's that really, I think, it's that spending time with the family, allowing us to do that. I think one of our main kind of goals.
And then, and then from a business side, it's kind of building something that is of value to the team and, is there to either pass on, whether that's an EOT or whether that's, whether we sell to somebody in the business, do an MBO. I was really worth seeing here. Yeah, the legacy, I think, is, we talk about leaving the world a better place than we found it, and that is part of our children, but it's also our partners that we work with. And it's also what does Halo pass on? So
it's the legacy.
Being proud to. For me, it'll be a successful exit at some point. That I think will feel like the end of the chapter for Halo. But
see what life then brings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if people are listening and they want to find out more about you, find out more about Halo, where can they go?
HaloAssociates.co.uk is our website, or I'm rambling on LinkedIn on the regular, so feel free to follow me on there. But we're also on Instagram and Twitter as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for being so honest and so open, and for being great guests on the Evolve to Succeed podcast.
Thank you, Warren. Thank you. It's been great.
Warren.
So what a warm and lovely conversation with Nick and Jess. Great to see the dynamic working between them, and you can see why they've succeeded since undertaking the buyout in 2022, and some many words of great advice there, as well as a fun and enjoyable conversation. So I really hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if so, please do help us by subscribing on your favourite channel. And also, if you want to find out more about Evolve and the peer group that Nick and Jess spoke about, then please go to evolveadvisory.co.uk.